Now we're starting to get to some positions that Washington hasn't talked about in 4 years. Our linebacker position,
Yes.
where we know we got Jamin Davis, we got Khaliki Hudson. Last year we got Barton. That didn't pan out well at all. David Mayo, we had him. It doesn't matter. None of them were really that good for us at all. This is definitely a position that, even though we drafted them number one overall in our draft, 3-4 years ago, 2021, it has not, come to fruition. Where do we go here, Will? What do we do? Are we finally going to address this issue, something we've been talking about for years?
Gosh, I hope so. We need to. I mean, let me see. You can't bring in a Ken Norton Jr. and play like 1.5 linebackers. Like, come on now.
They need to cut this guy, Martin.
Yeah, that's a great name for him. But at the same time, if you look at what Dan Quinn ran in Dallas, he often would start 2 linebackers. So, we really don't know what scheme they're going to bring in right now. So it's kind of hard to predict. But you wanted to spend money on defensive line. I want to spend money in the linebackers. Mm-hmm. I want us to go after a big name. I want us to throw our dollars at let me wear my notes here, at a Patrick Queen.
He already said it. Yep.
or a Devin White. What I'm looking for and what this team has not had is a quarterback of the defense. Yep. Where's my London Fletcher out here? Okay. You've got, I love Allen. I love Payne, but they are inches from the ball. They're not helping the secondary figure out what they're going to do in coverage when the offense throws an audible and everything changes. They can't see that. That's not their responsibility. Mm-hmm. We need somebody on the back end to be getting people where they need to go. And we've put that on Cam Curl the last couple of years, which is he's a young guy. Like, let's give us someone who is a veteran, who is that London Fletcher type leader of the whole defense, setting the tone. And so this is where I would spend my money. What I like about both of those guys too is they do have the ability to run. So they're not a David Mayo, where David Mayo can point everywhere where they need to go, but then the ball gets snapped and he can't cover anybody. That's my problem, where we had someone who could only do part of the job. I need someone to do the full job. So I'd like us to spend money on middle linebacker, partly also because while I love some guys in the draft, I love Jeremiah Trotter, sorry. I would love to bring him in. I don't know if a middle linebacker can come from college, if you're drafted even in the second, third round, and immediately be a starter in the NFL. Immediately be that leader of the defense. I think that's where we put Jamin Davis at a disadvantage when we did that. We forced him to slide over and learn how to read everything, call everything, and play the game, and read and react. And so I would love to get one of those guys, and I don't even mind if we did get someone, depending on what type of scheme we're running, if we need to. But I think we put the money in on inside linebacker, and then we can find somebody else in the draft as an outside linebacker to help revamp. I think, is your guy Gray from North Carolina, is he an inside or is he outside?
He's inside.
Okay.
But you talk about needing a year or two. I mean, our defense was the worst part of our team. And I mean, we had Gene Chizik as our DC over the last couple of years, but you're still talking about a team that gave up. And I know he's not the only one on the team, but nonetheless, you talk about a team that gave up 40 points in the fourth quarter at Appalachian State. You know what I mean? Defense has not been one of the things that we've been known for the last couple of years. However, he can play, and there's another guy on there, Myron Murphy or Miles Murphy that played edge, that could be a pick that we could get later down in the draft. But he has been moving up recently. But yeah, in my opinion, I'm kind of similar to you on this one. And as a matter of fact, this is one of the things I said last year, and I love this one.
I like
Wagner,
this idea too.
Get a 1-year deal for Wagner. I wanted him last year before he went to whatever, the Rams or wherever he went last year, and I wanted to bring him in just for that leadership mentality. You know what I mean? Just he if he plays all 17, that's great. But I would mainly want him in there to kind of right the ship in the locker room and have everything like that. I love.
Let me jump in because it's a perfect to like. I would say if we go spend money on the defensive line, if you go get a Burns, if you go spend money on an edge, Wagner's the perfect guy because he's not going to cost as much. And like you said, then you draft Trotter in the third round, and you've been able to you're helping everything. So I love that idea of what you're saying, Sean, and what Abbott said. Sorry, keep going.
Pay whatever for Queen, 6-year deal.
Alex wants him too.
Oh yeah. No, but yeah, I definitely think you need to. This is a place where we've struggled for so long. You need to get a guy in here that is a vet, a guy in here that can run this thing by himself if necessary, and just put everybody in the right place, but also wreak havoc. We need a guy that's a playmaker at linebacker. I'm gonna be very honest with you, because that can hide some holes in the secondary. You know what I mean? And he can make sure he takes care of and communicates with that D line in our front seven. That is huge. And I'm excited to see who we bring in, because like you said, Dan Quinn, Joe Whitt Jr., we know their pedigree. We know what they've been able to do. But I'm all about it. If we spend up here anywhere on defense, I would be good. But I'm eager to see what Dan Quinn does, because we look at some of those names on that defense that were from last year. Obviously, you got the Myles Garrett and Trayvon Diggs, and Diggs got hurt most of the year. Randy Gregory, some of those guys. But you gotta, when you look at those other names, we talked about it, Deron Bland. It was Van Der Esch, who's been hurt most of the time. Like, a lot of those names aren't these elite names, but he put them in the right place, and he had them looking very good, and they were very successful all throughout the year. So it really kind of begs the question that if we do go there, I love it. But do you think that, again, we don't know what they're thinking, but do you think that's what they want to do? Do they want to spend money on that? Or do they say, hey, we know we can turn this subpar defense into an elite defense just with our scheme?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's the things, those are the X factors that we don't know. But I'd be eager to see kind of where they go with that. I'd love yours getting Queen in the draft, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, and let's give this guy benefit of the doubt. We've dogged him for 3 years now. Can Jamin Davis get some proper coaching finally? Find out, can they tap into what his athleticism and the potential? I'm not expecting him to turn into Micah Parsons. I'm not anticipating that, but can you do something better than what we've had done with him? I mean, there was a moment in his second year where they were moving him around and letting him blitz or letting him wait for a second or two and then go rush, and he was making plays. Yeah. Can we give this guy a chance to be coached properly? Because we don't know what he could be. So there's also, and obviously he would be an outside linebacker, so it's not, he's entrenched, and I still think we need someone to call be the quarterback of the defense. But this is where it's like, I want to see what these coaches can do with some of the guys we got in-house.
Yeah, and that's going to be huge, because beforehand we've always been saying, all right, we need the player, so he can outshine, because we know the coaches ain't going to do it. Can these coaches, like you said, can they take a guy that might not be elite, that might be mediocre, and give him the play above his weight, essentially? Right. And that's what the Dallas defense did. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.